Welcome back, Dragon Riders. Welcome back. It has been a minute. Yeah, I am in nursing school, kind of, sort of. It is really kicking me in the ass. That's why it's taking me so long to make videos. And of course, as I guys always say, because I like joking about this, I don't make money from YouTube. So it's not like I'm doing this to make money or job. I literally do this just for fun, just to talk, just for whatever, just for people to watch. Because I'm like the type of person who I watch a lot of YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I watch a lot of YouTube when I'm doing background stuff, like when I'm doing homework or when I'm drawing, whatever, just random stuff, okay? And that's what I want my videos to kind of be. And that is probably what this video is gonna be, because it's not gonna be a lot of visual. This is just a little bit of talk. And I understand that the title may be a little bit condescending, because it sounds really depressing. Like, why is the HTTYD Dragon fandom dying? Now, first of all, I know that sounds really depressing. And first of all, this is not me saying that I'm out of the HTTYD Dragon fandom, because no. I still love it. I'm here for it, and I think it is a masterpiece. It always will be a masterpiece. But I have noticed in the past few months, the fandom definitely had a shift, in my opinion. The person who actually kind of inspired me to make this video is a tweet I saw from Audrey Greywind on Twitter. You guys probably know her. She's a big HTTYD Dragon enthusiast, kind of. Shout out to her. Follow her and subscribe to her. But I don't know her personally, so I'm not like saying we had a conversation about this, but I do enjoy her videos, and again, I do follow her on Twitter. But she did actually tweet something that I'm shaking that definitely caught my eye. So this is what she tweeted. She says, "It's getting more and more difficult to draft videos about anything HTTYD Dragon when all I want to do is make one about how I completely fallen out of love with and felt entirely betrayed by the franchise over the past 10 months. And I did see some comments agreeing with her. Obviously, this happens to all of us, so no hate to Audrey or anyone else who commented. But let's dissect this a little bit more, shall we? So first off, I believe that there is some sort of comfort when you see people online who enjoy the same fandom as you do, even more so if like your fandom is meant for kids, like Miraculous Ladybug, for example. I believe that show, I don't watch that show, but I believe that show is primarily for children, but lots of adults like it, and they probably feel comfort when other adults talk about it too, because they don't feel alone in the fandom, they don't feel like they're too old for the fandom, and so on. That goes for probably Harry Potter as well. More adults probably like Harry Potter than kids at this point, to be honest. But obviously, no hate.
We're having a Harry Potter themed wedding. And I think, gosh, what's their first night of fun going to be? I can't.
So, you probably definitely enjoy watching adults talking about fandoms, mainly when they're for children, aka me. So when I see someone talk about their loss to the fandom, it could honestly hurt some people. It could definitely hurt some people. And that's why you will never see me make a video talking about like my loss for the fandom, mainly because I go through phases, and I feel like lots of people do too. Like at a moment, I'm not crazy about HTTYD Dragon, but the next week, I might be back at it. Right now, my guilty pleasure show is Ugly Betty. Embarrassing, I know, but it's so good, guys. I might make a video on that too, because I just need to talk about that. But this video is not about that. It should be, though. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I might make a video about that later. But also, I don't want to bring anyone down, and I don't want to shame anyone for the fandom that they are in, but I honestly thought that the HTTYD Dragon fandom was stronger than ever because of the HTTYD Dragon live action. Because I honestly thought that no one really cared about HTTYD Dragon after the third movie. But I saw people like proclaiming their love for the franchise, which caused for people becoming really defensive about the cast, but that's a whole other thing. But I personally believe that the franchise may be dying because of 3 things, okay? 3 things. So the first thing I believe why people might consider the HTTYD Dragon fandom dying is because of the 9 realms. Now, I know, hear me out. So see, what I love about this franchise is how they knew when to stop, okay? They knew when to stop. The first movie was so well made, and you could tell by the writers and the animators that they really wanted to make this movie as best as it possibly could. Also with amazing music of John Powell, we also get to learn about Dean DeBlois and Chris Sanders, the masterpiece behind the franchise, and we learn about his passion, basically. As we all know, the movies are inspired by the books by Cassida Cowell, but the movies were made more for like kind of a mature yet kids audience, if that makes any sense. I feel like Cassida Cowell's, sorry, I can't say her name. I do feel like her books are geared more to like younger children, but I do feel like the movies were geared for more like older children, like 10-year-olds probably, I'm guessing. But then we get the second movie, okay? We see from the teaser trailer, it's going to be epic, okay? The animators definitely improved even more and more, and the chemistry between the characters were so special to see. We also got a very badass villain and a very sad scene with a bittersweet ending. It was darker than the first one, yet still very kid-friendly. Then we get the show, which, let's talk about this a little bit. So some fans consider this like the best part of the fandom, and I have to agree. I have to agree, honestly. There was a Cartoon Network show which was like so well made, it made me question if it was actually a drama show on ABC. We see such wonderful and like we see such a wonderful and well-written show and relationship between the characters. You can really tell that the writers worked their freaking asses off to make this show as perfect as it can be. Like, this show writing is better than Grey's Anatomy at this point. Honestly, no shades to Grey's, because that's still my show. Then we get to the third movie that came out in 2019. People consider this one to be like the weakest one of all the three movies, which I honestly kind of have to agree on. I think the third movie was building up just for the sake of the ending. The ending seemed quite perfect, as you can tell. So they thought of like the elements, okay? So like we see how the Night Furies died, we see how the dragons can be free, and then we see Hickstry get married, and we even get to see them have kids, which honestly I've never seen that from a kids show before. It probably happened before, but we never seen, like I personally never seen like an animated couple go from like being 15-year-olds to being like 30-year-olds with kids. I never seen that before. We've seen them through like every phase of their life pretty much, which is kind of, it's really cool to see an animation movie for kids. So How to Train Your Dragon had such a perfect beginning, middle, and end. And then we randomly got that really forced Christmas special that like didn't make a lot of sense, but we could probably excuse it. That's the moment when I thought that it kind of jumped the shark, but that's beside the point. It was a short, it was fine, it didn't benefit anything for the franchise, but it was fine. It came out directly after the third movie, so no harm done. Right?
You want to hear a story about dragons?
No.
Everybody's got a favorite,
I don't believe that.
right?
Wrong.
But I've got a dragon story you haven't heard.
I probably have.
And this one is my absolute favorite.
No one cares.
Because this story is mine.
Kinda narcissistic of you. So, as you know from my previous 9 Realm video, I think it's a very poorly made show, and it was just made to make money. Because they want people who love the original franchise to want to watch and seek it through to the end. It's the same thing with the Star Wars franchise, how it was one of the most popular franchises to ever exist, who kept making more and more and more movies and shows of the franchise, which never letting it go. But the Star Wars fandom still watched because it's very nostalgic. This also goes with Harry Potter. And I also believe this also kind of goes with like live action movies, because no matter how many people complain about live actions, I feel like it definitely will still happen. Like I feel like when live actions happen, people are still going to watch it even if they hate it or not, because like it only takes one time out of curiosity. Like people remember how amazing Cinderella was when they were kids, and then watching it in the live action because it's like a new thing, because they remember the nostalgia of it. It's probably the same thing with the Nine Realms. They knew how much everyone loved How to Train Your Dragon, so they're like, let's get another show. Let's get another show rocking. So this is when I considered How to Train Your Dragon to have jumped the shark. So they also had a show called Rescue Riders, but it wasn't canon and it's basically for preschoolers, so I'll excuse it. Then the How to Train Your Dragon live action was announced.
We just found our hiccup and asterisk for the live action How to Train Your Dragon movie.
The live action How to Train Your Dragon film just started filming.
Next, you're doing the live action How to Train Your
DreamWorks Animation has announced a live-action adaptation of our favorite How to Train Your Dragon movie series.
Did you know that the How to Train Your Dragon live action movie just started shooting yesterday?
The remake of How to Train Your Dragon is moving right along. They just announced the casting for Hiccup and Ad.
The live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie has just announced its first two cast.
Live action How to Train Your Dragon is officially under.
Which I feel like this in particular was a breaking point for a lot of How to Train Your Dragon fans, because they're not only trying to be creative by, making a new show, but no. They're repeating a movie that is already loved by all by changing it, obviously. Like obviously this isn't my opinion, but this is like the overall bigger opinion, because I'm still gonna watch this live action, why would I not? People already think live actions are a waste of money. Fans are also angry because Dean DeBlouse was also against live actions, and now he suddenly wants to do one, so I don't know. And of course, live action also has actors, which people don't really think fits the characters, but again, that's another thing. People are also mad that this franchise that they grew up with is being basically like twisted and dragged on. Fans feel betrayed, quite honestly. At first, How to Train Your Dragon felt very prideful. It felt like something more than just a show and a movie for kids. Something that the directors and writers cared so much about and wanted it to be perfect for the audience. But now it does kind of feel like a cash grab. It feels less about us and more about them. And my final reason why I think the How to Train Your Dragon fandom might be dying. This one's kind of a joke, but I still kind of think it's funny. It's Fourth Wing.
Dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead. Welcome to the Fourth Wing.
Yes, Fourth Wing. You heard me right. So if you guys are book and fantasy readers, then you guys probably know or heard about the book, or read the book. You'll be surprised how many people I've seen who were huge How to Train Your Dragon fans turned on the fandom for Fourth Wing. Audrey, I'm freaking calling you out. I'm calling you out, okay? No, but if you guys don't know, Fourth Wing is a young adult fantasy romance book that people say is basically like How to Train Your Dragon but for adults, because it's a good majority of How to Train Your Dragon fans are now older since they grew up with the franchise, so they decided to move on to something more darker and more for older people. So, I'm sorry. So, as you guys can tell, I had not finished the book. As you can tell, not even close. Life as a nursing student, right? You don't have any time for anything. Hence why I haven't even made a video in a month, so. But anyway, this book definitely gives off How to Train Your Dragon, but also Hunger Games vibes. It's about a girl named, if you guys don't know, it's about a girl named Violet Sorrengail, who's at a school to learn to become a dragon rider. But it's not just any school. No, you get killed any chance you get, pretty much. And I won't go into complete details about this book since I'm planning on making a whole other video about it soon. But it also has to do with this hot badass guy named Xaden. People say that they are the new and more mature Hickstrid. Okay. Do I think this fandom is dying? I know this video is called Why I Think the How to Train Your Dragon fandom is dying, but in reality, I think the fandom is starting to feel like the franchise is just turning into one of those cash grabs. Takes Toy Story, for example. I thought that movie, or that franchise, was gonna end after the third movie. It should have ended after the third movie. Then they made a fourth movie, and then the ending was fine. The ending could have been an ending. And now they just announced the fifth movie. What the hell is that going to be? Leave Tom Hanks alone. Let him do something else with his life. He's a freaking famous actor. Let him do something else, dude. He's trapped in this franchise now. He's been doing this since 1993. That's how long the Toy Story fandom has been going on, guys. But this isn't about that, is it? So as you guys also know, they are making a How to Train Your Dragon land at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, as well as the live action, which is coming out in the same exact year. Almost the same exact month too, which is kind of weird. But this event really does show me how many people still care about the fandom. How to Train Your Dragon shall live on. You can move on from fandoms, but you will never forget. Now, again, I don't mean this video to sound depressing or anything, because I still see lots of people in the fandom. Lots of people. I'm just talking about the people that I've seen recently kind of being like, I do feel betrayed by the fandom, you know, it's just, I don't want them to have any more of my money, I want them to be passionate about the fandom, which I do get, and like, the only way where I would be completely out of the fandom is if they make more, like, actual movies, which probably sounds kind of like, why? Like, why would you want that? Like, why would you hate that so much? It's because, again, it's similar to Toy Story, because again, I also like Toy Story, I grew up with Toy Story, because obviously it had a third, like, I think 3 movies are good. Like, I think that's a perfect for a trilogy, like, 3 movies, that's a perfect amount of movies. And of course, the third one ended, perfect ending, everyone knew that ending. And then years later, they just made a 4th one for some reason, and the ending was fine. I mean, yeah, it was sadder than the 3rd ending, but it could have been an ending. And now they're making a 5th one, and like, what for? Like, tell me. What for? You're telling me that these toys' stories aren't over yet? Like, their stories aren't over? When is it gonna be over? They're not people, they can't die. They're gonna live on until they get crushed to death. Like, or broken or something. Like, when is their story gonna end? And even though I obviously wasn't a fan of the Nine Realms, and I generally thought it wasn't written well, and I thought that it was a cash grab, even though they probably lost a ton of money, even though I think all of those things, obviously I'm not out of the fandom, I still very much love the fandom, and again, I feel like it would have been kind of worse if they like sloppily made another show with the characters. And I know that sounds really weird, and people are like, no, we like the original characters, and I do too. I very much do, and that's the whole reason why I wouldn't want them to make another show with the characters, because if they made it as sloppily and as like unfocused as they did with the Nine Realms, then I wouldn't want to see my favorite characters being like that. I don't want to see them being all ruined, because even though the original characters weren't even in the Nine Realms, some of their legacy was already borderline squashed. Like, we basically found out that the ending of the 3rd movie was kind of pointless because Hiccup decided to just go down to the hidden world anyway. Like, I just thought that was really stupid to add in, because it affects the freaking original franchise. Like, I mentioned this in another video, but I hated when people got so like mad when they said like, oh my god, Astrid is not black, like this is gonna ruin my childhood. See, okay, it's one thing if you don't want her black, that's another thing. But saying it's gonna ruin your childhood, again, I went into this in another video, but come on guys, ruin your childhood? Like, your childhood has already happened, first of all. And also, yes, it would ruin your childhood if they made like a 4th movie that's canon to the franchise, but it like ruins all the characters, and like all the characters completely turn on each other, and like it completely messes up like the character growth and everything. That's a perfect reason to say that it ruins your childhood, because you can't watch the other movies the same again. The live action isn't going to change anything, guys. It's not going to change anything. It really is not. Like, it's all for fun. It's all a joke. It's a different universe, okay? So, they're not saying that Astrid is actually black. Obviously, she's a white blonde girl in the original. But this is a different universe where she's allowed to be black. You guys get the gist? You got the gist? Cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming. So, I know this video was kind of random. It didn't mean anything. It was kind of like, whatever. This is just my comeback. And of course, it's going to be very easy to edit, so it's like cool about that as well. So anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. I hopefully will be back soon. I have a lot of video ideas in mind that I'm scripting right now, and that I have yet to actually, record. But hopefully that will happen soon. Probably during the summer, most likely, because I'll be free. I'll be free, guys. Okay, thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see my whole How to Dragon playlist. The link is in the description. I will see you guys in the next one, whenever that would be. Bye!